All right, y'all, we back with another video. So as you already know, the JJK Zero collaboration event is here, and we've already gotten, YUTA. Everybody's been waiting for YUTA for quite some time now, basically since like the announcement of Global. They were like, okay, bro, I can't wait to play this game and get YUTA, bro, because obviously everyone already knew YUTA was going to be an early game character that we were going to get very early on in the game. So I figured, I already did the summons for YUTA. I might as well showcase him today, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to talk a little bit about what YUTA does if you don't already know, which I'm pretty sure a majority of you guys should know what he does, but I'll go over it anyways. So he is a mono red DPS attacker character. He's basically a nuker. Once he nukes, he's not going to be able to regen any of his ult for quite some time. So that does make him very unreliable in being able to get his ult off 2 times. Let's actually get right into what the character does aside from just that, right? So we have his first skill. His first skill is just going to do single target damage. Nothing too crazy important there. Then we're going to have the second skill, which is going to be an AoE attack that lowers enemies crit resistance for 2 turns. And on top of that, it has an instant kill. So it's based off your curse technique, based off of your opponent's remaining HP. I'm not going to lie, the chances of this proccing are very low, very insignificant. Like the reality is this is not really that useful unless you need to crit more. So like, for example, later on when Toji comes out and he is a mono red character, you can use this to debuff him and give him crit resist down, right? And then on top of that, when Toji does manage to crit, since he's going to be using like-minded sisters memory, this will allow him to get a higher crit chance, so he can actually regen his ult gauge a lot quicker. But as for now, it's not really that important, and I don't see that much use out of it. Next up, we have his skill 3. His skill 3 does tons of damage. It's basically a combination attack between Rika and YUTA at the same time. It's going to have high modifiers because it's going to be counting separately YUTA's damage output, and then it's going to be counting Rika's damage output. So this is going to be one of your high damaging skills. You'll use it whenever you don't have your ult. Then we have his ult, which is ult is like literally the highest modifier currently in the game for ults. It's going to deal 1,999% damage AoE to all enemies. It will apply ultimate gauge increased nullification, which means you won't be able to get ultimate gauge for 4 turns. Keep in mind, the turn that you do use the ult, you're going to have that nullification, so technically it's only 3 turns. Then you're going to gain a 20% physical and curse technique increase for 4 turns, which really, it's okay, because once you do ult, then you'll get kind of like an extra boost of damage on this effect, on this skill. So his skill 3s will hit significantly harder, but other than that, I mean, amazing, does good damage. Most enemies should be dead with just the ult. If they do manage to live, you will probably be able to kill them with the follow-up of skill 3. And then we have his auto skills. This is like one of like the most powerful auto skills in the game, where if you have an ally on your team who has 60% HP or less, then he will heal the entire team. You just have to make sure that your curse energy is not less than 10, so it has to be 10 or higher. And then on top of that, you will use the 10 curse energy, and then you'll apply physical and curse technique damage to yourself by 10%. And then you will also recover 200 ult gauge. So in certain situations when you're running like a nuke comp and you have like the SRs and the rare characters to actually buff him and stuff, they usually tend to get really low. So this does help them keep him alive. And on top of that, also does kind of help him get his ult gauge a lot sooner. So yeah, other than that, he's a pretty like straightforward character. He's not too difficult to use, not too complex. Your main skills that you're going to be prioritizing is going to be your ult first. Then after your ult, I would say your skill 3, and then after that would be your skill 1, right? But yeah, pretty straightforward. And then of course he does have this passive, which is do not bully YUTA, and this is where Rika does have a chance to counter the enemy. Anyways, now that we've already talked about YUTA, let's actually talk about where we're going to actually showcase him. So since we're playing on global, there's not really that many areas that you can actually test the character on. Maybe later on when we do get the score event boss, I'll try to test them there. But for now, as it stands, the only content that we could really test them in is actually the Formidable Foe second year at Tokyo School Panda event, right? Well, Panda challenge mode, whatever. Right, so we're going to be doing Extreme 2, and then I'm going to kind of just show you what kind of team that we're going to be using. Obviously, they're weak to red. So this is going to be our team formation. So we have Yaga here for our buffs, and then on top of that, he's going to have Unity to give us our ult gauge charge as quickly as possible. We're going to have Nanami, so that way Nanami can also buff us on, in tandem with our Yaga. And then we'll have the Wasp, which Wasp will be able to provide us 10% damage dealt, I believe, increase for all allies for 2 turns. And then on top of that, we're going to have Yuki's, you know, for cursed energy regen, and on top of that his ult, which will increase your curse damage. And then we have perfect synchronization, which will increase your damage dealt by 30% for all allies when you are, you know, of course, when you are 35%, excuse me, it's 35% when you do get 3 dupes, right? For 1 turn, right? All allies damage dealt, so when you're using an ultimate skill. And then, of course, naturally, on Yuta, I think his best memory is going to be non-standard. Now, you can use the Jogo memory, but yeah. Anyways, this is going to be the team, and without further ado, let's actually get right into the fight. Right, so we're here in the fight. It's going to be relatively simple. So we're going to be using Unity straight away alongside the Yaga buffs, because we are going to be having that cursed energy consistency with Yuki on our team. The same thing for Nanami again. We're going to provide the curse energy, obviously, like I just mentioned. And then here on out, we're going to be using skill 3 on Yuta. Luckily for us, Yuta is 5 dupes, right? Of course, if you have some dupes in Yuta, you will be able to get that extra cursed energy. So if you have 2 of them, that's going to be good. But if you don't, you can obviously compensate it with Yuki, providing cursed energy regen for your entire team. So here, we're going to be trying to do as much damage to Maki as possible to see if we can manage to break her. Because obviously she is the most powerful one on the enemy team in terms of damage output, since she AoE cleaves, and that could ruin your whole comp. So we're just gonna go straight away and just try to see if we can manage to break her straight away. We did manage to Black Flash here, so maybe we might be able to break her in 2 turns, which would be good for us. So we'll buff again. We'll buff again. We'll attack Maki, and then we'll use another skill 3 on Maki. And we did manage to break her. And Rika managed to counter, and then we're going to get the heal as well from Yuta. We're going to buff one more time. We're going to buff again. We're going to provide crit energy regen because we're not going to be attacking this turn. We're going to provide some crit resist down as well. All right, and then we'll get the heal one more time, and here we're gonna just absolutely nuke the stage. As you can see, he does have the provoke status, but it doesn't matter with his taunt, just because we're gonna be doing AoE damage and attacking all of them together. So we're gonna buff, we're gonna be using Wasp, and then we're gonna buff again. Then we're going to be using the memory alongside Yuki's ult, which is going to provide us a lot of damage increase and curse damage buff. Then we're going to be using the non-standard memory alongside Yuta's ult, and we're just going to absolutely decimate this stage. I ain't gonna even hold you. It was so much damage I couldn't even tell, bro. There was too many numbers. GG, bro. Holy GG. And remember, we hit those enemies without them even being in the break status. We literally hit them with their break still up and everything. Yeah, that's crazy. He did that much damage in that scenario. It's like, and if I even wanted to further optimize my damage, I can use a character like Momo as well instead of Yuki. But in this scenario, I just felt like using Yuki just because I like the consistency, being able to just spam Yaga and Nanami with Yuki providing the curse energy regen. So yeah, anyways, that's basically Yuta. Yuta's an absolute mad lad, right? Can't even really complain about this guy. He's just so powerful. Can practically auto domain investigation as well. It's just like, yeah, he's him. You know what I'm saying?